G'day viewers, Dovetail have released the LIRR, Long Island Railroad, M3 electric multiple unit, and we're going to take it for a bit of a quick drive from Hunters Point to Jamaica. The M3 comes as a permanently mated or married 2-unit pair, known as the A and B units. Only one of them's ever gotten divorced and stayed in service. Here we are in the train. First thing you want to do, if we pop outside, you'll discover that you've got both red and white lights on the front, which is a little undesirable. So we want to turn off the marker light. Just go and check that. That's fine. Turn on the windscreen wipers. Just quickly checked my rail driver is working this time, which is good. Now we want to pull the master... we turn the master key on first. And then we want to pull the master controller down. Come on, down you come. Down you come. Do it. Oh, come on. Hey, there we go. Okay, got it. Now, we want to charge the brakes. So you can either use this button down here. Actually, I don't think I'm quite in max brake. Let's try that. There we go. I wasn't quite in max brake. So it actually helps to have the hub turned on because you actually need the words max brake to be displaying. Now you can either use that button on the dash like I was, or you can use the semicolon key. You need to get the white needle up to 130. The white needle up here shows the brake pipe pressure, and the red one shows how much air pressure there is in the cylinder. At the moment, 50 pounds. Looking down here, we've got our reverser. So let's pop that into forwards. We've got our master controller, which is both acceleration and brakes. We do have the max speed, so it runs on the mass system, which means you take the lesser of the speeds that displayed here, so 15, 30, 40, 60, 70 or 80, and the track speed that displays down here. So it's the lesser of those two speeds. And if you're playing with the HUD on, take the HUD into account as well. Alright, let's go for a cruise. We are currently limited to 15 mile an hour because we don't have a code. There we go, the brakes have gone off. And we can drive. When you're not in the controlled area, you automatically don't have a code, so the system will default to 15. So to make sure you don't go crazy when you're in a non-controlled area. So you can see we're coming up to a sign that says begin ASC. So we're coming into the area where the speed system's going to start working. And you notice we've got ATC's now gone green and Axis has now gone green. And we've got 30 and 40 lit up. So we take the lesser of 40, 30 and down on the HUD. So the back of our train hasn't passed that point yet. There we go. So we can now drive at 30. That's the lesser of the two speeds that are showing there. As we depart from Hunters Point and go under the flyover. Did they make the Train Sim World 2 fault? No. You have a little bit of leeway on the speeds, so you can go a couple of mile an hour over and it won't do anything to you, but if you go too fast over, let's just try that now actually. Let's just speed up. Alright, so we'll get up to 33. We've got an overspeed. And we need to start slowing down and acknowledge that. Or it will take over and stop the train. Now, if you go a long way over the speed limit, it'll give you a penalty, which you can also get out of by acknowledging, so that's fine. As you get to know the route, you can probably turn off the HUD. In fact, why don't we do that? Because we're not stopping till Jamaica, and I know what Jamaica looks like. So it'll be helpful for you, I think, because it's less information to look at and learn. So have a quick look outside. We've got the nice stainless steel units. I'm not sure if they're stainless steel or polished aluminium. It's the 80s, so they're probably stainless steel. Not to mention Bud loved their stainless steel. That was an alert of a drop in track speed. The single beep is going up in track speed. When track speed drops, you must acknowledge it. You either use the acknowledgement handle here, or you use the Q key like usual. That's the alerter, which is also braking me for no really apparent reason. We had a speed down from 60 to 40 there as well. Not too sure why I was getting braked by the alerter then. Now remember, we do the lesser of the two speeds, so we've got 40 and 60, so we have to do 40. Now we've got 70 and 60, so we can do 60. Nice powerful horn, good enough to wake the dead. It's kind of what you need in New York. Cruising along. We're not too far off a station up here. Now, it's good to get to know the route so that you can slow down before you get to a particular speed limit. You can simply drive to the display and you will get away with it. What you get a few seconds, I think you get 6 or 7 seconds to get down to the speed when you get a speed drop. So you might have to brake really hard and acknowledge it after you're getting into the braking curve. So if it recognises that you're going to slow down in time, you'll get away with it. If it thinks you're not, it'll apply the emergency brakes. LIRR, I'm told, honk the horn on the way into platforms. And I do recall that from my time in New York. They very rarely honk when they leave, but they do honk on the way in. Now, the correct way to use the controller once you're at speed is to go to P4, full speed, and back to coast. Don't use the lesser speeds because they are in series. That's a speed up. You don't have to acknowledge a speed up. So we're allowed to do 70 mile an hour, which is the lesser of the signal control and the track speed. The reason that you have both is the ATC is allowing more trains to run in a signalling block than you safely could if they were running at full speed. So it's basically saying that if you run at 70 mile an hour, you won't run into the back of the train in front of you. You can see the signal up here is green. That's the vertical line. You still have to obey signals. Can't ignore them. There we go. We've gone up to a full 80 now. So the two systems agree. We can now do 80 mile an hour. It's quite nippy at this speed. Do cover a lot of ground. Now, I watched a video of one of the fellas that drives the LIRR fairly recently, and he was always careful to stay 3 or 4 miles away from the speed limit. And he was saying that just gives him some room to move, and he's got plenty of time up his sleeve to make the timetable doing that sort of speed. And if you watch the way he drives, it's always max or off. Max or off. You don't stop at the intermediate ones unless you're driving at slow speeds. I'm not talking about the route in this video because we've seen it before. This is a new train for the route. They've got both of these trains in Train Sim World as well. The feature's not actually implemented in a game, but that sign back there is a de-energize, which means that you shouldn't be powering when you go past it. Alright, we're coming into the station that's before Jamaica, the one that's inside this building. Imagine living on top of a railroad. You'd want to hope they didn't run at night. Oh wait, they do, 24 hours a day. I'll have to sort out why the alerter actually slows me down. Maybe I have to move a control and acknowledge it. Yep. So because we're not using the HUD, we've gotten us into a penalty situation. And I've managed to get into an appropriate braking curve. I'm at max brake. It's using electro-pneumatic braking. And once it recognised I was in the curve, I was able to acknowledge that. We can see that we have a less favourable signal up there of an approach because we're coming into Jamaica. So as a proactive thing, I know the speeds drop around Jamaica, so I'm just going to start slowing it down myself, because I know we come down to 20 mile an hour at some point around here. Probably a little early to slow down. That's all right. Now we're coming over a flyover, which means when we come down the other side, we'll have to watch our speed. Now, as we come into Jamaica, we have to drop to 15 mile an hour. So we don't have a green signal up there. We've got the two diagonal sets of lights. So we know we're going to be changing tracks. There we go. We've acknowledged the speed down to 20. And just because I know we're going to be going downhill in a moment, and because I know partway down that hill we have to switch to 15, I've already brought the speed down. So if we have a quick look outside, you can see it's quite a steep run down into the station here. And Jamaica down there in the distance. Acknowledging the alerter again. I have to give the manual a read because sometimes I end up with the brake and sometimes I don't. You can see the brake applied lights come up on the left there. You don't always see air pressure in the pipe when you put the brakes on because it has electro-pneumatic brakes and it might be using entirely dynamic braking. Remember, it's the less of the speeds, so we've got 15 and we've got 20, which means we have to do 15. It's always a little disconcerting driving straight at another train, but that's the Long Island Railroad for you. You just have to trust that this complex slip is going to divert you. Oh, there we go. Now arriving Jamaica. Brings us to the end of this quick drive. And the end of this little introduction to the M3. Oops, I went below the platform. Alright, we can stop her there. And get the doors open. You're not going to get out? This is the end of the road. Maybe you should. How about you? No, you don't want to? Okay. They clearly don't want to get out. Don't know why I got an alert when I'm stopped, but that's okay. That's fine. You have reached the end of this quick drive. No great surprise there. Well, I hope this little introductory tutorial has been useful for you. I'd suggest that you get it. It's available through Steam. You do need the Long Island route to be able to drive it with the scenarios, but of course you can drive it anywhere you want with building your own scenarios. That squeaky thing beside us is an M7. They are remarkably squeaky. I would suggest if you're on the edge that you grab it, because on Steam you get 2 hours of playtime before you have to give it back or let them keep the cash. So it's a bit of a win-win situation. You can have it and try it, and if you don't like it, give it back, and if you like it, keep it. All good. Alrighty, I hope this has been helpful for you. Give it a thumbs up and think about subscribing to the channel, and maybe you might even want to join. Thanks for watching. See you later now.